Hello, this is What's All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the latest iteration of the Gruppo Gamma Vanguard, the Mark IV. This one in particular is the AV-16, which is the aged steel version. So as you can see, it comes in this really nice, sizable travel case. Unzip it and we can open it up. So then we have this protection layer here, protecting the watches underneath here, but also a little pouch for some various bits and bobs. So you can keep your straps in here. It comes with a strap, the screw removal tool, which is pretty neat, and also our warranty card as well. So if I open it up, we have two spaces, and obviously here's our watch in particular. So this is actually really helpful. I've actually been using this loads. So if I give you an example of having two watches in place, there you go, fits snugly. These are two pretty big watches as well, you know, about 44mm in diameter, so they fit them really snugly. And it's just really nice how you can use it. You know, it's relatively flat, fits in bags really easily, so great for traveling. So I have found that this has actually been really helpful. So onto the watch itself. Let's just move this out of the way. So as I mentioned before, this is the aged steel version, and you can see from the finish of the case that it certainly does have an aged feel to it. Personally, I think it looks absolutely fantastic, but we'll talk about it in a little bit closer detail shortly. So let's talk about the specs first. Price-wise, certainly the most expensive watch that Gruppo Gamma have made to date. The RRP is $900, which is about £710. So yes, that is obviously a fair whack of money, but we'll discuss the build quality, the specs as well, and then you can make an informed decision whether this is the watch for you. So let's slap it on my about 7¼ inch wrist and talk about the specs. So we've got a 44mm diameter, a height of 13.5mm, and then a lug-to-lug length of 54mm. So definitely on the slightly larger side. 44mm certainly, certainly fills out the wrist well. The height is an interesting one because although it's 13.5mm, it actually wears quite slender. I think because of the ratio between the height and the diameter, it's certainly looks and feels a little bit thinner than you would expect. So I actually find it wears quite nicely and slips under cuffs easily, and you can wear it really easily with a jumper or a shirt. So that's a good positive. The lug-to-lug length is fairly straightforward, trivial, and as you'd expect for a watch of this size. 135 grams is the weight, so you do get a decent weight to it. You know, it's not crazy heavy, but it's certainly weighty enough to feel that it's there, that it's a good quality watch. 20 atmospheres or 200 meters is the water resistance, so you are covered for any swimming if you want to, although I wouldn't go swimming with the strap because it's such a beautiful leather strap. We certainly don't want to ruin it, but you are covered there certainly for some decent diving if you want to. Lug width in the classic Panerai style, it's 24mm width at the lug, reducing down to 22mm width at the buckle, so really decent size, and it just gives a real good chunky meaty appearance to it. Especially for guys with bigger wrists, this is really, really nice, decent watch with a decent heavy duty strap to go with it. You get a 1-year warranty as well. And then the movement is the ETA 2824-2. And in reality, there's not a better Swiss-made automatic movement to pick from, to be honest. Let's be honest now. It's undeniably popular, thanks to just how popular it is. It's just out there in vast amounts. It's easy to replace if need be. It's easy to service, easy to maintain, easy to fix if anything does go wrong. And it's just really, really hard-working, hard-wearing, and reliable as well. It's got all the specs you need, 28.8 thousand beats per hour, so 8 ticks a second, nice smooth tick. Hacking seconds, hand wind, automatic capabilities as well, etc., etc., etc. They say the specs coming out of the factory is plus minus 30 seconds a day. which is pretty wild. I measured this one, and unfortunately it's coming at minus 21.8 seconds a day, which is a little bit more out than I was hoping for. I would have hoped for a watch costing $900, you know, that it would be a lot more accurate, at least a little bit of tweaking had taken place, but unfortunately not. So other specs include, I'll just take it off. Other specs include a sapphire crystal, which is double domed, and you can see there right at the tightest corner, excellent legibility still. It has an anti-reflective coating on the inside as well. Another cool little feature is the bronze side guard here. And finally, another spec is the strap is made of Simona di Stefano, which is handcrafted in Florence, Italy. And it is beautiful, but we'll think about that in a little while. And finally, the loom is Swiss Superluminova C3. So really, from top to bottom, nothing has been held back. Top quality usage in every single aspect of it. So let's have a think about it aspect by aspect, starting off with the dial then. So the dial is got a really cool little faded backdrop to it. As you can see, we have a lighter grey in the centre, and as it goes out to the outside, we have a darker outer edge. Draws the eye into the centre nicely, but it's really subtly done. So it keeps things interesting, but it's not too over the top. So really, really nicely done. And this outside edge is made of gunmetal material as well, which is really, really nicely done. We'll get the macro lens on, but it's absolutely sensational. The quality of this outside edge is just beautiful. All these dots are machined out of it. So are the numerals and filled with loom. Just really, really beautifully manufactured. The numerals are all deep filled loom, and I'm talking superbly deep as well. The loom is incredibly strong. And then the hands, pretty straightforward in terms of design, but then the entire design of the watch is, you know, fairly bold and not overcomplicated, which is great. Love the numerals. Obviously, we've got a bit of a Panerai vibe coming through, which tends to be the case with Gruppo Gamma, but it's certainly not a dedicated homage to it. Just certain vibes and little nuances seeping through there. And the hands, straightforward batons with a tip to it. Nothing too extravagant. Simple, bold, easy to read, legible, and decent design as well. I like the splash of red from the seconds hand as well, with a loomed box near the tip as well. So the loom, as you can see here, is so strong. Even in daylight, you can see it. Let me just get a focus on that. So I'm literally in daylight. Lights are on, windows open, and you can see the loom coming through there just by covering up with my hands. It's that strong, and I haven't even bothered charging it. So really, really strong loom. It's so thick, and obviously this Swiss Superluminova C3, decent quality loom as well. So the same loom is on the hour markers. You can see we've got the numerals and the dashes on the outside ring as well, and also the pip at 12 on the bezel. So beautiful at night time. Really, really striking and impressive. And for many people, they don't realise how important loom is to them until they've had a watch with sensational loom. So really, this watch will, change the way you view watches because of the strength of the loom and just the general quality of it in general. Let's move on to the case then. So obviously, this is the aged steel finish, which I think is actually such an amazing idea, because basically it's pre-worn, but it still looks great. So pretty much you can chuck anything at this watch and it will still look as it does now. It will still look excellent quality. It will wear even more, I'm sure. But you could take chunks out of it and it wouldn't look out of place at all. As you can see, the edging and the corners are slightly more worn. We just have, a bit of a flaky kind of paintwork finish to it. I'm not entirely sure if it is paintwork or not, but that's the kind of feel it has. So really, it is one that will last for a long time. 10 years down the line, you can imagine that it will just look exactly the same. So the shape of the case is more of a pillow shape than anything else, but really nice angular corners here. Just every angle is pretty nicely designed. I really like the bezel as well. So we have these little grips at 2, 6, and 10. So you can use that to rotate the bezel. So there's no other markings apart from the pip at 12. So, it's quite limited. However, if you were to use it as a stopwatch, for instance, and you'd probably be able to get a rough estimation, you wouldn't be able to use it too much for accurate estimations, though. For instance, if I was to have started a timer at just before past, I'd be able to tell now that half an hour has passed, and I'll be able to tell around here 3/4 of an hour has passed. So it's not particularly accurate, but it is useful, and it is there to be used if you need it. However, more often than not, I can't imagine too many people will need it, but it still looks good and it is still functional, which is a plus. Obviously, we have the loom pip at 12, so that's really nice and thick and glows brightly as well. Moving on to the crown and the crown guards. So at the moment it's upside down, so it depends how you screw it in, but it's nice to see that it is lining up nicely. You don't see that too often. And then the crown guards are screwed in. Nice, thick, decent machining. No complaints there whatsoever, but, not expecting too many complaints. And we have the gamma, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, referring to the fourth generation there, embossed on the end, which is nice and accurate. So then we have our drilled through lugs with our screw fit, and if you recall, we have our little screw tool to be able to work with that. Moving on to the case back then. So it's more of a stainless steel finish to it rather than the aged steel finish to it, but really nice design. Got the Gruppo Gamma kind of logo skull in the center, and then this crosshatch finish to it. Pretty nice to look at. Nothing too extravagant, but it's well finished. What it is. Decent design as well, and then we have some various bits of information deeply engraved around the outside as well. It's secured in with screws, and it's just all very neatly done. Moving on to the strap then. So I mentioned previously it's made by Simone Di Stefano in Florence, Italy. Each strap is handmade and the quality is beautiful. The smells like a expensive fine pair of Italian leather shoes, because this is most likely the same kind of leather that would be used on expensive Italian leather shoes. You can see there we have Di Stefano, Firenze on the back there. It's beautifully thick and really supple as well, considering how thick it is. Very easy to wear, very comfortable as well, and just decent chunky stitching. It's just got such a good hefty quality kind of feel to it. And on top of that we have an aged steel buckle, which is pretty meaty as well, with the Gruppo Gamma logo. It's engraved, lightly engraved, but it's engraved enough to be able to see it nicely on the top bar, which obviously matches the case really nicely. One thing I have noticed with the strap is that the second keeper loop, I don't know if it's just me or not, but this second keeper loop, occasionally it will slip off and find its way up here, for instance, and occasionally I have to just push it back down to catch the end of the strap again. But really, that's the only thing. It's not the end of the world, and it does happen occasionally, quite rarely. Okay, let's get the macro lens on and have a look at it in closer detail. So, let's start off with the dial. So here we can see the hour markers. You can see how thick the loom application is there, raised up from the dial, and it has a nice painted white border to it as well. There's our red seconds hand ticking away. And if we have a look at our hand itself, we have a sort of silver border to it, which is offset nicely against the dark grey dial itself. Here's more of the hour markers. You can see how nice and neatly it is. You know, considering it's loomed, you know, it's so nice and neat. And then some print work there. And then this outside chapter ring, as you can see, beautifully made. You can see all these markings are engraved. This is made of steel as well. If I get a decent shot on it over here. Here we go. And you can see how neatly that is engraved with that 15. Absolutely flawless. And this is really close up. And that's filled with loom as well. You can see here we have the dots and the dashes. I like the use of the 00 at 12 as well. That works really well. Moving on to the case then, here's our loom pip at 12, and we're starting to get a feel of our aged steel on this bezel. Here's one of the bits which secure the bezel to the bezel action, and the screw keeping it in place. You can see the edge in here. Moving on to our crown. There's the embossing of the gamut and the 4 dashes. You can see we've got decent grip on that crown as well. One of our crown guards secured in with a nice little hex screw. There we have it. So if we flip it over to the other side, we'll see our lovely little brass side guard. So again, that's secured in with a screw, and we can see our brass side guard there with a horizontal brushwork and some channels engraved into it. You know, it's not particularly, it doesn't make much difference really. It just protects the case a little bit, and it opens up the opportunity for a bit of customization, which is cool. Moving on to our lugs. Here we can see our aged finish in all its glory. So you can see sort of like a flecky kind of finish to it, and one of our screws for the strap. Flipping it over then to the case back. Here's our sort of crosshatch painted main aspect, and then we have our skull here, and then around the outside these details really nice and deeply and accurately engraved, as you can see. Cheeky little screw there as well. So there we go. And then finally moving on to the strap. So here's our top layer. So it's a really nice sort of dark blue colour, which I think fits really nicely rather than using a grey or a black, which is quite, you know, standard. You see that a lot. I really do like the colour that they've chosen for this. You can see nice big holes as well, good for the preview buckle. Moving on to these keeper loops, as you can see, again, same nice quality top layer to it. Flip it over and we'll see our Di Stefano stamp. Nice. And then finally, having a look at our buckle. So there's Gruppo Gamma engraved. Looks a lot neater up close. And as you can see, this is that same kind of aged finish to it, worn around the edges, which will age even better. Okay, so I'm sure you'll agree, not only does it look great, but they've done a remarkable job. Gruppo Gamma have done a remarkable job in making sure that this is absolutely top quality watch from head to toe, from the end of the strap all the way through to the case and the dial itself. The design in itself is certainly, yes, taken cues from Panerai and that style of watch. However, they've done a great job of not making it too similar. They've really worked well in recreating a beautiful, stunning watch, which is unique in its own right, and so impressively constructed as well. Yes, $900 or £710 is a lot of money, and yes, some people will say, well, you can get Swiss-made watches for that much. However, that Swiss-made label is becoming less and less important in recent times, mainly because the quality of micro brands that are coming out and developing and manufacturing watches, which, you know, they openly say, hey, we're made in the Far East from head to toe, but that's not an issue because most of the time they're made to the similar quality of any of the Swiss-made watches. And the Gruppo Gamma Vanguard Mark IV is no exception to that. At the end of the day, some parts of Omegas are made in China. For instance, the cases or the bracelets might be made in China. Some parts of Christopher Ward watches are made in China. I know some of the cases are. So just because it has Swiss made slapped on the dial doesn't automatically mean it is a superior timepiece. And it works in the opposite way. Just because it doesn't have Swiss made on the dial doesn't mean that it is a lesser timepiece than something that does have Swiss made on the dial. Really, there's no doubt that this is exceptional quality. Every part about it is really well made. It's beautiful to look at, beautiful to wear as well. The specs are incredible. And, just things I like it's pretty much all of it. But the strap, the quality is beautiful. I love the finish, the aged steel finish of the case. The brass side guard is a really nice little addition as well. The loom is sensational. Can't go wrong with the loom. Obviously, the movement is a great plus as well. But all in all, it is a fantastic watch. So if it does catch your eye and you're happy to pay the money, seriously, you will not be disappointed. So this was the Gruppo Gamma Vanguard Mark IV AV-16. And that's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Thank you and see you next time.